Hello, R is a fantastic statistical environment and it's all that many people use now. I would thoroughly recommend getting into it. It's very easy to install. Go to Google, type R, push return, and that brings up the website R Project for Statistical Computing. Click on that and down at the bottom of the page is Download R. There are a number of mirrors from which you can download it. I'm in Scotland, so I'll go to St Andrews. And you can install it for Linux, Mac or Windows. I'm on a Windows machine, so I click that. I want to install R for the first time and I want to download the most recent version of R, which in this case is 2.15.3. Click Save and save it somewhere that you can find it. When downloaded, double click to install. Click Run, select Language, and you can just click through all these with Next. You don't need to change anything. I'm just going to cancel that because I've already installed it. When it's installed, double click to open, and this is what you'll see, a rather intimidating screen, which has the R console, which I typically place on the left hand side, and a script file which you'll write your commands in, which I typically place on the right hand side of the screen. There are other ways of running R, and I would encourage you to check out R Studio, but I'm not using this at the moment. The first and one of the most important things to learn is how to work with working directories. So here is a directory that I want to use for this particular R project. So this particular dataset, for instance, this is where all the files will reside. I click in Windows Explorer and copy the address of that directory, go back to the R console, click on console, click on file, change directory, and in the folder paste in what I've just placed there, and that is now my working directory. You can check this with the command get wd for working directory, open close brackets, and that confirms where I am. I can save the workspace, and we'll come back to what that means by clicking save workspace, and you have this r.data or .rdata file. Click OK, and you can also save the script by clicking on the script window, and I'll call this my_script. You have to put in .bigr, it doesn't do it automatically. And now I am set up, ready to go with my analysis. Any data files I could place into that folder. If I go back to it, you can now see the .rdata file, which has the workspace, which will contain all the data that I'll create, and the my_script file .r, which contains my script. So if I close the R window, I can now go navigate to the folder which has this particular project in and double click r.data, and that will open up R and load everything that I've been working on before. I can set this back up the way I like it, and file, open script, my script will bring back up the script that I've been using. This is really essential when using the default console for keeping everything in order. So how do we get data into R? I've pasted the sample file, which is on the website laphernia.csv, into the folder that we've created. I open R and type the command. The script is all there. I want the object that the data goes into simply to be called data, and then I do this funny little symbol, which is a less than sign and a minus sign, which just creates an arrow pointing to the object that I want the command to apply to. And I'm going to use the command read dot table, open brackets, inverted commas, lap_hernia dot csv, close inverted commas, comma, sep for separator equals, inverted commas, comma, and there's a header in the file, so we'll say header equals true. Now in R, we do Control R to run any line or select a number of lines and hit Control R. So if I hit Control R and do that, that runs that line of script. LS, open bracket, close bracket, is essential. I think it stands for list, so it lists the objects that are in the current workspace. If I click Control R, that shows that I have a single object called data. I can actually show what is in data just by typing data, and that gives me a data frame. I can do summary data, which shows the 6 variables which are in data and summarizes them. They're not specified correctly at the moment, so it thinks that they're all integers rather than factors. str is for structure data. Control R, and that shows that I have a data frame with 50 objects across 6 variables, and those are the names of the variables and what R thinks the variables are at the moment. So it knows that gender is a factor, but for instance doesn't know that laparoscopic is a factor. There's excellent help files in R. You can access them by typing question mark and the command that you're looking for help on. Let's see what it says for read table, and it brings up the browser with read table, which is from utilities, and goes through the syntax. It's quite complicated when you read this at first. The arguments, so how you can specify within the brackets the different aspects of the command, and then at the bottom, often the most useful thing, are a number of examples which show how the command may typically be used. If you don't know the name of the command specifically, you can use 2 question marks. Let's see what it says for read, and that does a search, and at the bottom of this big list we can see utils read table is the one that we're looking for, and there's lots of other commands that has read in it, and we can click on that to get to where we were. And finally we'll talk about packages. Packages are collections of functions or data that can be installed into your R package that allow you to perform certain analyses, and you can search a package by using, you have to write the full thing, help package equals ggplot2 is one that we use for graphics a lot, and that will bring up all the different commands which are associated with that particular package, and that help command can be used for any function as well. In the next video we'll talk about organizing the data and checking the data is complete, correcting errors which exist in this data set, and specifying the type of data that exists in variables, and starting with some basic analyses. So now you can close that script window, and that will save, and if you close that workspace window, that will save what is in the workspace at the moment.